He ruled the empire, but wrote like a servant, to reason, to truth, to a voice deeper than ambition. These weren't words for the world. They were fragments for himself, to hold the line. When the world tried to pull him off it, he called it to himself. We now call it meditations. But this wasn't a philosophy, it was a practice, written in silence, spoken only in thought, over fires, over battles, over nights where the weight of the crown threatened to crush the man beneath it. He wasn't writing for legacy, he was writing to survive, to stay human while surrounded by spectacle, to remain grounded in a world that praised noise. Every line, a reminder, every page a resistance, every breath a return to what can't be shaken. He didn't write to be read, he wrote to remember what matters, what stays, what can't be bought, broken, or bent. And now you hear his voice, not as an emperor, but as a man, trying quietly to be good. He began not with pride, but with gratitude. Before he spoke of reason, he honored those who gave him the strength to carry it. From my grandfather Varus, a life without anger, without entitlement. He showed me what stillness looks like in motion. From my father, dignity in every step, silence in the face of praise. He never had to raise his voice because who he was already loud. From my mother, a soul without greed, a heart full of mercy. She taught me that kindness is a form of power. From my teacher Rusticus, the gift of discipline. He burned the arrogance out of me. He handed me the truth, even when it stung. From Apollonius, calm that couldn't be shaken. He didn't preach, he lived his philosophy, and in his example, I saw what unbreakable looks like. From Sextus, a life of balance. He moved with humility, spoke with precision, and gave with nothing expected in return. From Maximus, firmness without cruelty, joy without noise. He stood like a wall, unmoved by storms, trusted by all. From them, I learned what cannot be taught. How to listen before speaking, how to serve without being seen, how to lead without losing yourself. I took their lessons like bricks and built the man I was meant to become. Not perfect, not holy, but responsible to the world, to my soul, to something higher than praise. Because the man who remembers where he came from is the only one strong enough to keep walking forward. Begin each day, knowing what's coming. Someone will be rude. Someone will lie, someone will take more than they give, and still, you do not react, you remain. Because their weakness is not a reason to lose your strength. You are flesh, breath, and mind. The flesh will age, the breath will fade, but the mind is yours to govern. Remember this. When emotions knock, when noise tempts, when comfort whispers your name, you are not owed anything. Not time, not understanding, not results. All you're given is the present moment. Use it like it matters, because it does. The man who wakes with entitlement falls at the first resistance, but the one who wakes with preparation is never surprised. He walks into the day like a soldier, not seeking war, but ready for friction. You don't control what happens, you only control what you bring to it. So bring clarity, bring stillness, bring a mind that does not beg to be liked, but is committed to being true. And if you forget, return to breath, to reason, to what no one can take from you. Because philosophy isn't read, it's practiced. In the hallway, in the pause before speaking, in the breath between stimulus and response. This is the training, and the world is your gym. You will die, but you already knew that. The Stoic doesn't flinch at this. He uses it to focus, to shrink the noise, to remember that today is the only thing still alive. Everything you touch is already fading. The people, the praise, the wounds, the fears, all of it temporary. So why cling? Why beg for more of what won't last? You are a moment, a breath, trapped in time, inside a body that will one day be dust. And that's not bleak, it's clarifying. Because once you stop pretending that you'll live forever, you start living like it matters. You stop wasting time on being liked, you stop chasing what glitters, you stop fearing failure. Because failure, like everything else, ends. The Stoic walks with death not behind him, but beside him, as a teacher, a filter, a cold hand on the shoulder that says, be here now because you don't get this again. look at the sky, not as a background, but as a reminder. You are smaller than you think, but more capable than you allow. There will come a time when your name will not be remembered, when your voice will not echo, when the people you tried to please will be dust too. And that's okay. What matters is what you gave, when no one was watching. How you held the line, even as the world bent around you. Because legacy is not carved in marble, it's carved in how you lived. So don't ask for more time, ask for more presence. And when death comes, let it find you standing still, fully awake, unbothered, unafraid. The mind is sovereign. Nothing can touch it unless you open the gate. Not insult, not praise, not chaos, not fear. They knock, but they don't enter unless you invite them. The Stoic trains one thing above all, the ruling mind. The part of you that decides what stays and what dissolves. Others may strike your body, but only you can hand them your peace. Others may raise their voice, but only you can let it echo inside. Others may push, provoke, test, but only you choose whether to respond like a beast or a being of reason. You are not your impulses. You are not your first reaction. You are the space between reaction and response. And that space, that is the throne. That is where discipline lives, where control is reborn, where freedom is felt. Because the man who can sit with emotion and not become it, he is untouchable. Not by power, not by flattery, not even by pain. He watches it all pass, like clouds, like weather, like noise that never gets inside. To master your mind is to master your life. And the one who governs himself needs no crown, no applause, no permission to be. He just is. Still, clear, and quietly strong. You are a thread in a vast design you'll never fully see. But that doesn't mean it's chaos. It means you're not the center. The Stoic doesn't fight the world. He falls in step with it. He trusts the pattern, even when he doesn't understand it. Because what's meant for you cannot miss, and what's not cannot stay. You are part of nature, not outside it. So your job is not to bend it to your will, but to align with it. The tree does not resist winter. The tide does not negotiate with the moon. So why do you fight the things already in motion? Fate is not your enemy. It's your compass. Even when it leads you through fire, it is shaping something. Even when it breaks what you built, it is revealing something better. The Stoic walks forward even when the path disappears, because he trusts that what falls away was not meant to carry him, and what stays was always his to hold. Do your part. Play your role. Not because the world watches, but because you do. Do the work. Take the hit. Let go of the outcome, because the outcome was never yours. Only the effort, only the virtue, only the moment. The rest belongs to the stars. You owe no one an explanation for your peace. Not everyone will understand why you stopped arguing, why you don't chase, why you no longer need to be heard. But that is not your burden. The Stoic does not need to impress. He only needs to obey his inner law. He is not useful. He is whole. He walks away not because he's afraid, but because he knows what he would become if he stayed. He doesn't react. Not because he's weak, but because his power no longer needs to be proven. Fame doesn't move him. Praise doesn't feed him. Recognition doesn't guide him. He is done being driven by things that die. He serves one thing, virtue, even when no one claps, even when no one sees. And when people misunderstand his silence, he lets them, because the cost of being clear is often being alone. But to the Stoic, that cost is worth it. He would rather walk steady and unknown than loud, liked, and lost. This is the final mastery, not control over the world, but control over what lives inside. No reward, no spotlight, just a quiet mind that bends to no one. He had the power to command armies, to shape laws, to write history, but he chose to govern one thing above all, himself. He wrote without audience. He lived without needing applause. He ruled without ever forgetting. He was a man passing through time, a man built from dust, a man whose name would fade, like all names do. And still he showed up, to each moment, to each duty, to each test that asked, will you betray your values for comfort, for revenge, for more time? He didn't. He held the line, in private, in silence, in full armor of discipline. He didn't escape death. But he met it without panic, without grasping, without regret. Because when you live right, you don't need to cling to the end. You let it take you with hands already empty, with a soul already full. And that is the Stoic victory. No trophy, no crown, just a man who walked through fire and never stopped being good.